Poughkeepsie. It's time for LocalMotion here for the next hour. And this hour, we will be featuring some lovely classical music. I'm going to be thrilled to be talking very shortly with Mr. Carl Gutowski from Howland Chamber Music and also the Howland Cultural Center. They've got some really great live stream events happening at Howland Cultural Center in Beacon. And we're going to talk specifically about a live musica coming up very, very shortly. They've got 4 different performers that will be there, and they just had their first live stream event this past Sunday on the 13th, and it's still uploaded online, so you can always go check it out. I want to play a track that Carl sent me, and then after we're done listening, we'll be talking with Carl further about what's happening at the Howland Cultural Center in Beacon. So right now, let's take a listen to the performer who performed this past Sunday. Her name is Winona Wang. She's performing Beethoven Sonata number 26, the first movement on piano, of course. Let's take a listen right here, right now. 91.3 WVKR. 91.3 WVKR, Independent Radio Poughkeepsie. I'm going to let Carl Gutowski tell you all about that. Let me get him on the line. Carl?
Yes, hi, Rita. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for being here today. Appreciate that.
Oh, it's my great pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course, my pleasure. We do this every year, Carl. This is an annual tradition for us.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
3 years running anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the show's only been on for 5, so we'll call it annual at this point.
Okay.
I just played the track that you sent me from Winona. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, Winona Wong is a very young pianist. She's actually still an undergraduate at Juilliard, and she won a major competition, the Concert Artists Guild International Competition. So she's just up and coming and is about to just make a big splash in the scene. And so we were so fortunate to have her come and perform for us at the Howland Cultural Center and stream that concert. That actually happened last Sunday, but it's still available. People can go to our website and watch it and see the entire concert.
Yeah, it was a remarkable piece, and that's howlandmusic.org, correct?
That's right, yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's back up a little bit and just say another formal hello. Thank you for being here, Carl Gutowski. You are the concert manager with the Howland Chamber Music Circle, and you're also a musician.
Yes, play the flute.
And I think I'm broadcasting from your alma mater.
That's right, yeah. I did my undergraduate work. I was actually a math major, not a music major. Maybe should have been a music major, but whatever.
Did you minor in music?
Well, there was no minor at that time. I guess there is now, but I think I needed one more course and I would have been a music major, but it just wasn't really important to me. I figured if I were going to be a musician, the degree wasn't all that important, or the major, I should say. So I ended up majoring in math. It seemed like a more practical solution. But music has always been a big, big part of my life, even without the major.
Now, you performed at Carnegie Hall also, or did that not happen because of the pandemic?
No, it did not happen. It was supposed to be in March, and I think a week before they pulled the plug. I mean, they did the right thing,
of course.
And everything has been canceled. So, or I should say it's been postponed. It was postponed to October, but then they postponed again, so that'll happen in July of 2021.
Oh, beautiful. Oh,
yeah,
that's
so
wonderful.
It will happen.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
So, Carl, you're a flutist, you play classical. Tell me about your affiliation with the Howland Cultural Center and the chamber music there.
Well, I guess I've been attending concerts with the Howland at the Howland Cultural Center for many years. And then the Howland Chamber Music Circle approached me and asked, would you like to be on the board? Because I guess they saw me hanging out at all these concerts so often that, they said, hey, let's bring him in. So I just joined as a board member, like, so many other volunteers. And just over the years, I got more and more involved in the production of the concerts. And a few years into that, the founders retired, Gwen and Bill Stevens. And Bill was the concert manager at the time, and he said, would you like to do it, take over this position? And so I said, sure. And it's still a volunteer position. And pretty much everyone is. We do have one person that our concert music director is the only paid position. But we all work as volunteers, and I'm involved with making sure everyone gets there on time, the doors are unlocked, getting all the chairs set up, but then I do a lot of the back end things on the website and promotion and things like that. So there's a tremendous amount of work that goes on by a small army of people. I'm not the only one, and it takes a lot to put on these concerts.
Yeah, it certainly does. I've been lucky enough to attend a few of them, and you can tell all the work, and it comes off really beautiful. All the concerts I've been there to see have just been really beautiful experiences in such a fine setting. Let's talk about that Howland Cultural Center. Wow. 1872 was when that was built.
That's right. And the architect was, I guess at the time he was a young man, but he went on to the facade of the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the Breakers and all these, major architectural structures. But he built that as a library in Beacon, and I think it was his brother-in-law who commissioned it, who was named Howland, and so that's how the building got its name.
Yeah.
But it was originally a library, and then in the 1970s, the library moved down the road, and this then became the cultural center. And then in the 1990s, we started our music series. And you've been there. You know that it's just ideal for this kind of music, chamber music, where you have 3, 4, 5 musicians. You want an intimate setting. You don't want a giant concert hall.
Right.
And so that's what this gives you. Not only is it intimate because it's small, but the structure, it's a square room. So you really have this feeling that you're all, wherever you sit, you've got the best seat in the house.
You do.
And you could be in the balcony, you could be the front row or the back row. It doesn't matter. You can hear well, you can see well. And it's just such a special place.
Well, the
and
acoustics
actually,
in there are just amazing, and it really is just perfection. The sound is perfect. And of course, it's all done acoustically. There's nothing that's plugged in. And it's just, it's really beautiful to hear it in that room. It's a great, great spot to see chamber music for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, the musicians all comment on that. There was one musician, I can't remember who it was, but it was a cellist, who said when he goes in there, he feels like he's inside his cello. Because you're just like enveloped by this, it's wood all around, this rich wood. The ceiling is this vaulted ceiling, probably 4 stories high. And the sound just circulates and mixes, and you don't need any kind of amplification at all.
No. That would just ruin what it's designed to do for sure. How many does that seat when you do the Howland Chamber Music Circle concerts? How many can be seated?
We sell 125 tickets, and that's the limit. I don't know what the fire code is, but we push it.
Yeah.
They sell out nearly every concert, and we have a waiting list. So it's I wish we could sell more, but then you lose the intimacy.
Right.
So, but even though we're small, we keep our ticket prices down. They're only $30 for adults, $10 for students, which is a real bargain for the caliber of these musicians that are coming here.
Right.
They literally just come from around the world.
Yeah.
And,
you get some of the best out there. So
absolutely.
Yeah. No, it's super, super special. Howland Cultural Center in Beacon. The outside is stunning too, and then you walk inside, and it's got such character. Just absolutely stunning place. So obviously, the season for the chamber music had to be canceled, but I love the fact. Here's what I'm just like. Obviously, it's happened over the past 6 months, but people are really reinventing things. And I'm so admiring of that. And you guys did the same thing. You've got a new series, Alive Musica, which it's just fabulous idea. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, you're right. We had to cancel everything, and we felt terrible doing that. Not only for the people who are going to miss the concerts, but all the musicians. They're unemployed. They're this is their livelihood. So we're trying to figure out how can we solve this problem and present concerts, keep our patrons happy, keep the musicians happy. And we realized that we're not the only ones trying to solve this problem. All the presenters have this issue. So what we did is we collaborated with actually 5 organizations. There's the Howland Chamber Music Circle, the Chapel Restoration in Cold Spring, Newburgh Chamber Music in Newburgh, and the Pauling Concert Series, as well as WMHT classical radio station. So we all got together and said, let's solve this problem together. And so what we're doing is we're presenting the concerts at the Howland Cultural Center, recording them, and then streaming them, and we're all chipping in to make this economically feasible. It takes a lot of money to hire videographers and do all that editing and et cetera, as well as pay the musicians and rent the hall and tune your piano. So by each of us chipping in, it makes it cost-effective for us. And best of all, we can offer this to the public for free, although we do ask for a modest donation of $20. It's a free will donation, but so it's a win-win-win. We win as presenters because we get to, put on these concerts. The musicians win because they can get out there on the stage, and the audience wins because they're getting these concerts that are in a concert hall.
Yes, right in their own living room on their laptop, computer, however they want to stream it. So you've got 4 concerts happening this fall, part of Alive Musica. Just want to give the website also, alivemusica.org. You could also go to howlandmusic.org to see the different concerts. Now, like you just noted, you had your first concert this past Sunday, September 13th. Tell us about the next one coming up on October 11th.
October 11th is the pianist Michael Brown, and he's actually played for us a couple of times, I think 3 times in the past. He did a children's concert, he played with the Harlem Quartet, and then he gave a solo recital. And we just love him. He's just so engaging as a performer, and really creative programs. And a few years ago, he won this Emerging Artist Award from Lincoln Center, and in 2015, he won an Avery Fisher Career Grant. And he also won that same competition that Winona Wong won, the Concert Artists Guild. So he's really, he's going to be a big, big name one day. I mean, he's already playing a regular in the Chamber Music Society of Lincoln Center. So, he's well on his way to establishing a very successful career.
Yeah.
So on October 11th, we will stream a concert of his, and it's consists of works by Haydn, Debussy, Ravel, and a really interesting piece that he wrote, Michael Brown himself wrote, for the right hand alone. So it's a piano piece, but only the right hand. And I just found out that the reason why he wrote this is because he injured his left hand.
Oh.
And so he needed something to do to keep his right hand going. And so he wrote this piece, and we'll hear the world premiere at this concert.
Oh, what a treat this is going to be.
Yeah.
October 11th at 8 p.m.
Right. And then also on that program is a Mendelssohn work. He's in the process of recording all the works by Mendelssohn, so this will be one of those. And then rounding out the program will be probably the most popular piano piece ever written, Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. So it's going to be a really fabulous concert. I'm so excited about that one.
Now, how long are these concerts? The typical hour and a half?
Well, it's about an hour. Winona's was an hour. I haven't timed out Michael's, but they typically go about an hour. We found that when you're sitting at a computer streaming a concert, that's about as long as people can, tolerate. There's no intermission. You can't get up and, go take a break. Right. So an hour is about a good length of time.
Right. Beautiful. Yeah. I was reading about Michael. He also he had a dual degree in piano and composition from the Juilliard School. So he's a composer as well, which is great.
Right. Yeah, he's a real Renaissance guy. You think of some of the great pianists in time, Chopin and Liszt, Rachmaninoff. We think of them as composers now, but in their day, they were well known as pianists, as performers. And I think Michael is going to be someone of that stature, someone who's, we know him as a performer today, but he's writing music as well, and that will live on. And
it looks like he also was the first prize winner of the Concert Artists Guild competition, a winner of the Bowers Residency from the Chamber Music Society of Lincoln Center. So he's won quite a few awards already, and a recipient of the Juilliard Petschek Award as well. So lots of good stuff. And he's a young pianist, you said.
Yeah, I'll say he's late 20s.
Wow.
I'm guessing, maybe early 30s. But anytime, if you ever go to the Chamber Music Society of Lincoln Center's website to stream something, every other video is him. He's there all the time, and really just an engaging performer.
Yeah, sounds it. Well, you've got some great things coming up here, that's for sure. Again, this is, instead of the Howland Chamber Music fall series, you guys are doing Alive Musica, which is just a brilliant idea. After Michael on October 11th, tell me who you've got coming up October 25th at 8 p.m.
October 25th is two brothers, Colin and Eric Jacobson. Colin plays the violin and Eric the cello. And we actually recorded that one last Sunday on the 13th. So all of these are pre-recorded and then, premiered at a certain date.
Mm-hmm.
So I already know what this is going to sound like, and I'm telling
Lucky
you, it's going to. Yeah, it's going to be phenomenal. Eric Jacobson, I knew him as a conductor. He conducts a number of orchestras, and there's a group called the Knights, which is a chamber ensemble, and he conducts that. Yeah. But I didn't know his brother Colin so well, who's a violinist. But they actually formed the string quartet Brooklyn Rider. They were the two of the members of that quartet. Eric has since left in order to pursue his conducting career. But during the pandemic, there's nothing to conduct. So I was chatting with Eric, and he said he's played his cello more in the past 6 months than he has in the past 4 years. Mm-hmm. And so he's finally able to get back and immerse himself in performing again. Right. And for this series, the Alive Musica series, we had to find musicians that can have been together, that can play together. And two brothers living in the same house, there you go. Right. They don't need masks. They've been playing together all these months. So it was quite fortunate that we could get them.
When I looked them up, I also noticed they played with one of my favorite musicians, Chris Thiele. And
oh, really?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. They've got a history with them. If you look them up on YouTube, you'll see they played a bunch with Chris Thiele, who, of course, is such a what a virtuoso he is. Yeah. So they did a lot of work with him as well. So that was fun to look up. And I have the music that you sent. When you and I are done talking, I'm going to play what you sent me from them. So we'll definitely do that.
What I sent you is actually what they recorded last week. So that's a sneak peek at what people will hear on October 25th when it premieres at 8 p.m. But yeah, they're very eclectic. You'll hear them playing with all kinds of singer-songwriters and jazz musicians and things like that. They really have a very wide musical spectrum. A lot like your show. I mean, there's just all kinds of music and they do it all.
Well, I feel that one genre is just too limiting. There's just so much beautiful music out there that I personally just like to showcase a lot of different styles. That's for sure. Yeah. Now, your final series of Alive Musica is happening November 15th at 8 p.m. Tell us about that.
Yeah, on November 15th we have, here's again a couple, the husband and wife, who have been together obviously during the pandemic. Jesse Mills on violin and his wife Reiko Aizawa on piano. And Jesse Mills has a local connection in that he was a past winner of the Hudson Valley Philharmonic String Competition.
Oh wow!
And
okay.
Yeah. Every year, the Hudson Valley Philharmonic has this competition, and the winner gets to play with the Philharmonic and probably get some other gigs out of it. He won it many years ago, 10, 15 years ago, and has gone on to have a really stellar career. I've watched him at Caramore and Lincoln Center and various places. But lately, meaning the past 10 years or so, he's been in a trio called the Horzowski Trio, and they're just so good. Yeah. There's three musicians. The third musician actually recently left the trio. The cellist left, and they have a new cellist. But they can't play as a trio because of the pandemic.
Right.
So we were able to grab them and say, hey, you guys are, husband and wife, you're together, you're playing, would you like to perform?
Right.
And all of the musicians just were so excited when we approached them and said, yes, sign me up.
You're not getting a lot of no's on this one. And you just happen to have this gorgeous piano at the Howland Cultural Center.
Right. And they've been, I think, all of them, except Winona, have played it at our venue before, so they know the Howland Cultural Center, and they love it anyway in ordinary times. But the musicians, more than anything, they're just starving to perform. They want to be in front of people.
Yeah.
And last week when the Jacobson brothers came and played for us, they didn't realize we were going to have a small audience. And I said, yeah, we'll have 10 or 12 people there. And they got so excited.
Oh.
Like, yes, finally.
Yeah.
And it completely changes the way that they play because they're really communicating to people in front of them. And they're doing what music really is, a form of communication. And it's not just playing for a camera and a microphone.
Right.
There are real people there.
Yeah, you're feeding off the energy from each other, right? I mean, it gets emitted from the audience as well as from the musician, and together is what gives it that memorable experience. Now, I also want to just quickly mention, since we're in the classical realm here, and we have just mentioned the Hudson Valley Philharmonic, the tragic early passing of its conductor, Randall Fleischer. So
sad.
So sad.
I mean, I actually first encountered him back in the 80s. No, early 90s, late 80s. He was the assistant conductor of the National Symphony Orchestra in Washington, D.C., and I was living there. So he was just this young buck conducting this major orchestra at the time, and Rostropovich was the conductor. And so I knew him as this young guy and with lots of potential. When I moved back to the Hudson Valley, I was so surprised to see there's Randy. He's right in my hometown.
Yeah.
So it was great fun to see him and watch his career develop, and just so tragic to lose him, and so suddenly. So
suddenly, so sad. Yeah, really. I think it took everybody by surprise,
shock.
A total shock. And I know the Hudson Valley Philharmonic musicians are going to miss him. And
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So for sure. So alivemusica.org. I'm so happy for you guys that you came up with this brilliant idea. Will you be doing the same thing for the spring, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so this goes through November, and traditionally in the winter we have a piano festival, and that's kind of out the window. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. We still have a concert series scheduled for the winter and the spring. So we have live concerts scheduled as of right now. Who knows if that's going to change? We're all thinking that there's just no way we could have a live concert in January.
Right.
So if that's the case, if we do cancel the rest of our season, then we'll reevaluate. We haven't made a decision yet. We can't do both streaming and live.
Right.
So we have to make that one decision first if we cancel the live. And the other thing is, we really want to keep this collaboration going with the other series. This is really, we're all equals in this. And as I said before, we're all trying to solve the same problem. So, people can go to howlandmusic.org to stream this, but you can also go to the Newburgh series and the Pauling series and the Chapel Restoration. They're all streaming it. We're all streaming it from our websites. And it's a way of bringing us all together regionally, not just our little pods.
Beautiful.
And so even if we don't do streaming in the winter and the spring, I'm hoping some way that we can continue to collaborate. If we don't all succeed, then we all fail.
Exactly. And we need music now more than ever. And it really is a time for music and the arts, and it's just a difficult time. AliveMusica.org is also the website that you guys have set up specifically for this series, which is beautiful. HowlandMusic.org. And Carl, I'm just so thrilled. I know it's a tough time for musicians out there, and I see it with my own daughter, who's a violin performance major, who's studying from home online, and that's just really hard. She was going to, take a gap semester, but she didn't want to fall away from it too much, and she can still get lessons and everything. So, you make the best of it, just like everybody else is, but there's so many students out there that it's a really difficult time. And of course, all those that have just recently graduated now too, and, looking for work. So the arts are getting hit really, really hard. I always say support musicians if they're not streaming or performing live. Maybe go to your favorite musician's website and buy some merchandise.
Absolutely.
Whatever you can to support music. It's really a time to step up if you can. be able to do that.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons why we offer the concerts for free, is we know everybody is struggling during this time. The musicians, obviously, they're unemployed, but everybody's hurting.
Sure.
And so it's kind of like a group hug. We're saying, here's some concerts.
Oh, that's a great way to think about it.
Yeah, it's us, it's our patrons, that they're our friends. These are people that we see all the time, and the musicians, and we're all struggling. So let's do it together. And if you have the means to make a donation, please do. And that's how we pitch this.
And that's a great thing. That's a great thing, because you're not excluding anybody from being able to stream this and to see this music. Right. If they're down on their luck right now and they're unable to, and if they can, like you say, donate, it's obviously there to do. Now, I briefly want to talk, just because you're got an affiliation with the Howland Cultural Center, also about the Valley Hour, which is starting this weekend, which is another cool event at the Howland Cultural Center. Yeah. I
don't know many details about it, but I know, I guess Gwen Laster is going to be up this weekend.
Yes.
And someone else. I don't know the details, because that's the Howland Cultural Center.
Right, and you guys are the chamber part of that. Yeah, right. So the Valley Hour, I know, is hosted by Annalise and Ryan. They're a local Americana duo, and they're also doing a live stream concert from the Howland Cultural Center this weekend. They're featuring Jeremy Schoenfeld with Tony DiPaolo, as well as Gwen Laster. So they're going to be picking up on the local vibe as well. So
great, I heard them a couple of weeks ago streaming from the Howland Center, and they've got it set up so well. I mean, it's just a very professional production, I found. So I'm sure the Valley Hour will be just as great.
Yeah, LocalMotion has got a little bit on there too, which is cool. We do a quick, maybe 2 or 3 minute promo about just local music, because there's so much abundance of it here in the Hudson Valley. Maybe not so much now, but people are doing lots of live streams. So everybody's reinventing what they can. So it is that time to do that. So Carl, just always thank you. Hopefully next time we can do this again in person. It's always been a pleasure having you here in studio, but right now, obviously, for reasons not needed to be stated, we're not doing any in-studio interviews. So I really appreciate your time on the phone today and being flexible and being able to do that. Tell me about the piece. Yeah, of course. Tell me about the piece we're going to hear by Colin and Eric Jacobson before I give it a spin.
Sure. So again, this is something that they recorded last week, and it'll be part of the streaming that we do on the 25th. This is a duo by Maurice Ravel for violin and cello, and it was written as a dedication to Claude Debussy, who had just died, I think, maybe a couple of years prior to this piece. So it's an homage to Debussy by Maurice Ravel, and what I gave you is just the last movement of that piece.
The third movement,
The third movement, And let me just say thank you so much, Rita, for continuing this series as best you can. We're all doing it. We all have to compromise in certain ways, and you can't have in-studio interviews, but you're making it work, and that's what we're trying to do with the live music, and everyone's trying to do.
We all have to keep each other, like you say, it's a group hug time, so that's just all how we have to handle it. I love that term, so thank you for putting that in my head. Yeah, absolutely. Carl, thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure talking with you and your knowledge, and it's a pleasure. And good luck with Carnegie Hall. It will happen, Carl. It will happen.
I hope so.
It will. It's only postponed. It's not canceled. So, just keep thinking of that, and then
practice.
Yeah, exactly. Keep doing it. It gives you more time to even practice, right?
That's right, or get more nervous.
Oh, perfect. Well, thank you, Carl. Be well, stay well, and we'll see you sometime. Take care.
Okay, take care.
Okay, bye-bye. Mr. Carl Gutowski from Howland Chamber Music Circle, and he's just an amazing flutist himself, and just such a knowledge when it comes to classical music, although he didn't even attend school for it, but he is a huge fan of classical music. AliveMusica.org and also HowlandMusic.org. Again, they're doing all these live streams. They started with the first one on September 13th, this past Sunday. The next one coming up is October 11th. And then October 25th will feature Colin and Eric Jacobson, of whom I'm going to play a track that Carl just mentioned right here, right now on 91.3 WVKR. 91.3 WVKR. Whew, beautiful music by Colin and Eric Jacobson brothers that Carl Gutowski and I were just talking about, violinist and a cellist. And they will be performing. They just recorded this last weekend, and you can actually see this when they do the stream event on October 25th. You can visit alivemusica.org as well as howlandmusic.org to see the three